Good afternoon or evening, and welcome. Kensington Senior Living has 8 unique communities, 5 located in Virginia, Maryland, and New York, and 3 sister communities located in California. Kensington is truly privileged to support care partners and professionals from coast to coast. Kensington focuses on relationship-based care, care built on the foundation of our promise to love and care for your family as we do our own. It is programs such as the one you are attending now that are so important for those of us walking through a caregiving journey to hear from expert professionals on keeping us current with the latest advances in care, management, and treatment of conditions that affect seniors and their families. I was first introduced to Kensington 10 years ago as my father was a resident there for over 7 years. Thank you, Kensington. Everyone that is registered for today's event will receive a copy of the webinar to share with friends and family. Please also know to utilize the Q&A function to submit questions for our panel. Please join me in welcoming Leandra Sims, Kensington's TIPA Snow Positive Approach to Care expert and team leader. Hello, Leandra.
Hi, Susan. As she said, my name is Leandra Sims, and I am the PAC Community Support Specialist here for KSL. I'm so excited that we're getting some focus on the positive approach to care today, and I hope that this is supportive and helpful for you during this holiday season or any season. Positive approach to care was started by an amazing woman. Her name is Tifa Snow. Just to note, she's very recently in the news for supporting Bruce Willis with his FTD because her techniques and support are just incredible. And that's why we use them here at Kensington. They're just a way of changing ourselves, essentially, to support the person living with brain change. And we use it because it works. So today I'm so excited to kind of focus in on the holidays and traditions because traditions are so important to our families and just how we can give you some tips through traditions to support someone living with brain change and how we can change and support people. So I wanted to kind of kick it off today, which we'll be having all of our amazing certified team members in the positive approach to care be sharing as well my favorite family tradition. So my favorite, and it also involves my grandfather, who inspires me every day to help people. He was living with Alzheimer's for several years, and in working with him, got inspired to help everyone. So I love that this tradition involves him as well. So this tradition is that my aunt always expected a talent show every year, and all the grandkids had to get up and perform and sing a song, or dance or anything, but you had to show off some kind of talent, and it was very celebrated in my family. And then towards the end, everybody had to get up and sing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And one year, my aunt decided we should all wear these like antler headbands. So she bought them for everyone, which was so amazing. And we all are trying to put them on. And it turns out they were on clearance because they were for dogs. So she bought everyone in the family these headbands that were for dogs. And my grandfather, who was living with Alzheimer's, could not stop laughing. And it's one of my happiest memories. And we went ahead and we put them on our heads and we sang. And he laughed the whole time that we sang Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer in our talent show for him. So,
I'm going to go ahead and jump off, but I have a job for the audience, and that is to please write some questions down, or you can submit them now, because we are going to do a live Q&A after these wonderful introductions from the 3 great people that are going to present today. And my family tradition that I didn't say is we had a song, it's a German song that we sang every Christmas night, and my Aunt Ruth always passed out the presents. She was a bossy bit, but she always passed out the presents. And when she passed away, we all sat around on Christmas and went, well, who's going to do that? And so the family traditions, I think, are really important. We're going to have a great conversation today. But thank you, Leandra, and have a great show. And I'll see you at the Q&A. Thank you.
thank you, Susan. I love that story. So I wanted to introduce Chris Hong, who is from our Redwood City community, Kensington Redwood Place, and have him tell a little bit about himself before we start.
Hello, I'm
Hey,
Chris
Chris.
Hong. Hello. Hey, Leandra, thanks for bringing me on. So, my name is Christopher Hong. I am the Connections Program Manager, one of the memory care neighborhoods here at Kensington in Redwood City. And I'm also a board certified music therapist and was recently certified as a PAC champion teacher.
Ooh, champion teacher. That's pretty exciting.
Very excited. I'm very excited to start using all these PAC skills I've learned and help others learn these skills as well.
So champion teachers really support people and have them learn a lot of skills. Is that for the team or family members or both?
For both. I'm here to teach anyone that's willing to listen and learn.
Awesome. So, Chris, can you tell me a little bit about your family tradition that you would want to share, one of your favorites?
Of course. So, one of my favorite family traditions is we try to get together every year, as much as possible. We actually don't do a Christmas celebration, we do a New Year's celebration.
Oh,
I'm
New Year's.
Korean. Yeah, New Year's celebration. So, it's New Year's Eve, actually, is when we do it. Or New Year's Day, sorry.
So, on New
Mhm.
Year's Day, you do something special or something else?
Something special. So we get together and we kind of pay our respects to our elders and our ancestors. It's called Sebe. So it's a Korean tradition.
Oh, how interesting. So, Korean sebe, did I say that right?
Yeah.
It's beautiful. I love that. Tell me a little more. I'm curious.
Yeah. So it's typically my mom's side will do it and it's all the extended side. So it's a lot of people and we all kind of cram into a small townhouse. That's my grandparents' house to do it.
Oh, that sounds like a beautiful memory all throughout your childhood that you continue to do.
Yeah, it's great. And as the family gets bigger and people have kids, it starts to fill up more and more. So we have I can't even count how many people in this tiny space.
So, Chris, I wanted to tag back to a little something that you shared that you're really you're a music therapist, which means that you really have an extra bit of support and a great kind of tip for the holidays that we could share using PAC and your music.
Definitely. So I always love tying music into everything I possibly can. One good tip, especially when you're gathering for the holidays with all your family members, is to try to incorporate music in different ways.
Oh, so incorporating music could be helpful, like in your New Year's celebration, for example, incorporating music would be helpful. Tell me a little more about why.
Yeah, so a lot of the times, especially in my family gatherings, it can get a little overwhelming. You have a whole bunch of people in a tiny little space. So it's
Yeah.
very, you can imagine the sensory overload just for a normal person, for anybody.
So a lot of words. So I know in PAC we talk a lot about the left brain and the right brain, the two temporal lobes, and that there's language on the left and rhythm on the right.
Rhythm on the right.
Yeah. So if you're thinking about that you're losing on the left more and retaining on the right, um, why would that be? How does that connect back to music?
So because when people are living with dementia, they still hold on to that part of the brain that contains all their musical memories and skills and affinity for music. You can really tap into that at different points during these type of gatherings.
Oh, I love that we're talking. So instead of talking about something that we're losing, we're talking about something that we can use that we're holding on to, which is music. So any kind of music or rhythm or poetry is going to be more helpful for people living with brain change. Even if there's a lot of noise going on, something like that could be something that would support them versus tapping into something where we're losing.
Definitely. So I feel like most people when they're gathering for holidays in a group, there's lots of conversation, there's lots of noise, there's lots of different groups all, having their own conversations. So a lot of different things going on. And, myself, my grandfather's living with dementia, and in these situations, we can kind of tap into the love of music and the fact that it's so familiar and friendly, and it's a way that everyone can kind of engage in something together.
Oh, so do you actually, when your grandfather is there, do you sing more?
Definitely.
Oh,
So we can,
I love that.
everyone's familiar with all these, holiday songs, and we can all use this to do an activity together that's a little more forgiving.
Do you find that that supports your grandfather in a different way when he was maybe feeling a little like overwhelmed? Do you find that the music actually has made a difference for you?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I feel that when we're able to do it, you can kind of see the his eyes light up and really, hone in on the music, and then you're just living in the moment with them.
I love that. So retaining that music on the right is the gift that we can give to people living with brain change during the holidays.
Most definitely, and it's something for every age group in the family. All these gatherings are intergenerational, and this is something that everyone can take part of.
Well, Chris, that is an amazing tip, and I hope that everybody could take that with them and add some more music into their family traditions. I think it's something we could add in just about anywhere, with all the phones and tablets and things that we have. It seems like we have a lot of access to music, so it seems like something that's pretty. Not all of us could pick up a guitar like you, but maybe we can invite you over to sing some songs.
Yes, I'd be happy to.
Well, thank you so much, Chris. I really appreciate your amazing tip, and the extra knowledge about the music and support during the holidays. I was hoping now to bring on Claudia. It's interesting that you were talking about forgiving and friendly because that's something Claudia was going to share a lot about. So, Claudia, hi.
Thank you.
Hi,
So,
Leandra. Thank you so much. How are you?
Claudia, let's start with sharing a little bit about who you are, your connection to Kensington, and your certification.
My pleasure. Yes, I'm Claudia Arteaga. I'm the director of memory care over at Redwood City, recently transferred from Redondo Beach. I'm one of the PAC trainers as well, going on, I believe, on my fourth year now, as
Oh,
one of
wow,
the PAC
Beth. So for
trainers.
4 years, you've been training and using positive approach to care.
Yes, actually something that was introduced by you, and I entertained the idea, and I found my people when I went to Tipa Snow's training in person. That
Oh,
was an experience, just a memorable experience for me.
I love that. It really does change your life.
Yes.
So,
And it helped
Claudia,
me change other people's lives too.
so not only did it change your life, it actually has changed other people's life. Them kind of feeling your shift and change helps change others.
Right.
So,
Yes.
Claudia, I am curious, since we asked Chris and I shared mine, can you tell me a little bit about one of your favorite family holiday traditions?
Ooh, I have many, but one that definitely stands out is as a little girl, grandma would take me to pick a live Christmas tree.
Mm.
For her, it was very important to have a real Christmas tree with the scent of pine. So now, every time I smell that scent, it's very reminiscent, it's very nostalgic to have a real tree.
Oh, so
You
a
know,
real
I have
Christmas.
yes, a
Oh,
Christmas tree.
sorry. So you
Sorry,
really
no,
love the smell of a real Christmas tree. Do you still go get a real Christmas tree every year?
I I sure do. I do have a unique family dynamic. I don't have children of my own, but my two pugs are my fur babies, and I do bring them along.
So when you were a child, did you pick out the Christmas tree or did your grandma pick out the Christmas tree?
It was a combination of both. She would let
So
me
now, is it still the same? Do the pugs pick out the Christmas tree or do you pick out the Christmas tree?
a little bit of both. I still follow that tradition. I let them roam around, kind of search and sniff their preferred tree, and then I do the final pick
Oh,
selection.
so there it could be vetoed if the pugs pick the wrong tree. Yeah,
Yes.
that feels fair. Yeah, they can only like see up some of it. They can't see the full tree.
Yes.
So they smell the tree and then they're able to pick out a Christmas tree. I love that you've kept the tradition going and just changed it a little.
I just modified a couple of items, a couple of things, just tweak it a little bit to make it work for our family.
Which is such a good kind of segue to what you wanted, the tip you wanted to share about from positive approach to care for the holidays, which is really about changing things a little bit and specifically looking at four specific things. Do you want to share a little bit about what you were thinking of sharing with everybody?
Yes, of course, I'd love to. So one of the many tips that we learned at TIPA Snow training were the 4 Fs. 4 Fs stand for functional, friendly, familiar, and forgiving.
So wait, one more time.
So
Functional,
functional, friendly,
friendly,
familiar,
familiar,
and forgiving.
and forgiving. So those just seem like 4 words. How is that a tip, Claudia?
So functional, in your setting, in your, let's say, for instance, an outing, going to pick up our Christmas tree. We want to see that we have items readily available, that I have items that I need with me. Friendly, we want to see that it's a welcoming and helpful environment or setting in this case. Familiar, anything that we're stepping into something that's comfortable setting. And then forgiving, in the event that my loved one has an expressive unmet need, that it's managed with grace, that it's handled with grace.
And that's kind of a really big one, right? Finding those environments that are forgiving, because when we're stepping out, if we find that any of those 4 are missing, for me, really with that forgiving, if that environment isn't forgiving, it might be important to make a shift. And that's a great tip for people to write down those 4 things anytime you're seeing some distress and say, which of these 4 things that could I maybe look at right now in the environment to support that person, especially that forgiving part.
Correct.
Oh. So do you have an example of when you've used this at KSL? Do you have any examples of that, of how you've noticed, ooh, hey, one of these 4 Fs needs to shift a little bit. I'm going to make a shift just to kind of, I know the pugs in the tree, but just to kind of shift it to like, now we have someone living with dementia, and how could we use that during the holidays?
Well, we see it more and more during the holidays with family members wanting to come in and celebrate the holidays. Here at Kensington, we do offer that space that is forgiving. For instance, a Christmas dinner, we can modify it. We can add a layer of support with our care partners that understand not just the 4 Fs, but truly understand the care that our residents need individually.
So maybe there's some families that might have always celebrated at home that now celebrate at the Kensington because something in the home, like maybe the familiar part, it's not as familiar and it's maybe not as functional, makes it hard for that person living with brain change. So you shift where you have it, but you still get to celebrate with them once you've created an environment with those 4 Fs.
Right. We bring the celebration to them.
Oh, that's really beautiful. I know that we talk a lot about that friendly and as well. I think about that a lot about how can we create more knowledge. And I'm so excited that that's what we're doing today is creating more and more people who are aware so that when people are living with dementia, we can have a more friendly support for them. We can be forgiving and create better environments by changing ourselves for the people versus kind of expecting everything to stay exactly the same and not meeting those 4 Fs in their environment.
Right. Yes. We work around the situation. Our team members are constantly being trained and updated and using those skill sets as well, practicing.
Yeah, I really love the 4 Fs, and I really see them a lot in our different neighborhoods. As especially we have all the different neighborhoods within Kensington, and all the neighborhoods I feel like contain those four F's for our residents, and that's why they all end up feeling so supported. So highly want to encourage family members at home to look at those four F's. You know, is this familiar for them? Maybe I don't want to go to a new restaurant. Maybe I want to go to the same restaurant. Maybe is this functional for them? Are there walkways? Are there paths? Is it hard to get in and out of places? Is it overcrowded, right? Creating environments and maybe changing some of the traditions so that we can support better those four F's. So
Yes.
Claudia, thank you so much. I definitely use those four F's all the time, and I hope that that helps our families a little bit kind of understand why something might not be working if they can just take a pause and look at those. Can you tell us them one more time?
Functional, friendly, familiar, and forgiving.
Thank you
I
so
think
much,
that's my
Claudia.
top.
That
You're
is
welcome.
very
Thank you.
helpful. So we're going to bring on now Keith, who this is his third webinar with us, our Scottish friend. I know some people may be familiar, but some people may not quite know you just yet, Keith.
Yeah,
So do you want to share a little bit about your role at Kensington and your certification?
sure. Yeah. So my name is Keith Serrell. I am the manager of Haven, which is one of the memory care neighborhoods at Kensington Redondo Beach. I've actually been at Kensington Redondo Beach for 6 years now, which is the longest I've ever worked at any one place. And I'm just thinking in my life, primary school is the only place where I was ever at for longer than this because I did 7 years at primary school. So I think that maybe reflects a little bit on just how much I love working at Kensington Redondo Beach. It really is the most fulfilling job I've ever had in my life. And I'm going to be 57 next week. So I've had quite a few jobs over the years.
Wow, I'm proud of you for sharing. That's very you're sharing that. That's brave. But I do agree. I've been in Kensington now for almost 11 years, and yeah, it's just the most amazing way to shift and change for people, and just being able to share the positive approach to care. That's been my big journey, and I know it's been a big part of yours because you're a certified PAC coach.
Correct. Yeah. 3 years ago, I did the PAC training and became a coach, certified coach, and worked alongside Claudia, who was just talking. She worked with me. We actually shared an office for a couple of years, and we've really pushed forward PAC here at Kensington Redondo Beach.
Yeah, you're one of our PAC designated communities where we know that we're using all kinds of skills to support people living with brain change there, which is just
Yeah.
incredible. Um, so Keith,
Mhm.
you know what I'm going to ask? What's that
Uh,
tradition?
what's
Because
that
everybody
tradition?
else had to, so you're going to need to share your tradition as well.
Sure. So loads of traditions growing up, many of which I still hold to this day. But the one I wanted to share was to do with Christmas stockings, which I'm sure a lot of people are maybe familiar with. I don't know. Being from Britain, I think most of this transferred to the United States. But on Christmas Eve, we as children would hang a stocking at the end of our bed. And miraculously, when we woke in the morning, Santa had filled the stocking full of little gifts for us, which was amazing to find. Um, of course, as I grew older, I realized that it wasn't Santa, it was my mum doing that, filling it. Sorry, have I just ruined Christmas for somebody?
You bet. Yeah, we should have put a little warning, mute
Oops.
the pause.
So my mum would fill it, and she actually really filled it with a lot of thought going into it. And I worked out why as I grew older, and we've incorporated that same tradition with my three children. And what it is that she would fill the stocking with things that were going to occupy us for like maybe one, hopefully 2 hours in the morning. Because of course she'd been up all night setting things up. She was exhausted and she wanted to sleep in on Christmas morning. But if we were rushing up to open the presents, then she wouldn't get much sleep. So we would open our stocking. There'd be a comic book to read, some snacks to eat, and just lots of little games to play with. Small things, but it would keep us busy for a bit, and it allowed her to sleep. And we do that with our children, and it does work. So,
It
little
does,
tip
it,
there.
just like PAC, it works,
It
right?
works. Yeah, exactly.
I love that. My parents required us to make coffee before we were allowed to open our stockings, which was similar. Like
Okay. Yeah.
and it took us a really long time when we were like 6 and 7 years old to make coffee.
Make the coffee. That's a good idea. Yeah.
And no matter how terrible it was, my parents would drink it. Bless them. So, Keith, I love talking about these traditions, and I know that we talked a lot about one of the reasons we wanted to talk about traditions is that they can be both a positive part of the holidays, but they can also be kind of hard as we see progression, because progression for people living with dementia is really difficult. And sometimes, ooh, when you're doing the same tradition and it's a year later, you're noticing that some of the skill has changed. And
Sure.
that's something that can really come up for people. And I know that you and I really wanted to take a minute to just acknowledge that some of the traditions, like the holidays, can be really, really difficult.
Definitely. Really hard time, especially if you are a care partner with somebody living with dementia, and you know that the holiday time is likely to bring in a lot of other members of the extended family who maybe aren't so on board with what's happened. And so what Teepa Snow teaches, what I love about one of the things that Teepa Snow taught me was to think of any situation and think of the six pieces of the puzzle, she calls it, that go into how you deal with any potential stressor that will maybe help you navigate it. So I think of that when I think of the holiday period as well.
So there's six pieces, and
Sure.
there's kind of three that are harder to change, and three that are maybe
Correct. Do you
things
want me
that
to?
can shift. Yeah.
Yes. So the way she breaks it down, and I love it, it's very clear. There's the intrinsic things and the intrinsic things. The three intrinsic things are the things, as you say, that you can't really change much about. They're there, but it's important for you to be aware of them. That's the brain changes that are going on with somebody. That's the person themselves. And it's also any health changes that are going on. These are things that exist, and there's not going to be a lot that you can do to change about them, but you want to be aware of them, what's going on with them, because they will impact on how your day will go.
I
Yeah.
especially love thinking about the person and that they are who they are. I
Yeah,
love,
they still have their core values. They still have those past Christmas traditions and usual routines. They have, as Chris was talking about earlier, music. There'll be music that they love, that you will still be able to know, and that's there. And it's important for you to know about that as we approach this time.
when I think about that, I think about how my uncle hates the song "It's a Small World" from
Okay.
Disneyland.
What?
I think he'll always hate it.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I have to admit, I have three children. Went to their Christmas shows, and there's a few songs that kind of rankle with me, but I'll save that for later. So that's the intrinsic things, but then the extrinsic things that you can manage a bit more. You've got more input into is time, the
Ooh. So
stakeholders that are
time,
the
how they're
time.
spending their time. Got it.
Yeah. And how much time, how their understanding of time is, because it's lost in people with dementia,
Mm-hmm.
and time can really affect them. Are they able to spend a lot of time, or is it going to overwhelm them in many ways? The time that you spend doing your traditions, your Chris, my Christmas meals when I was a kid, they lasted like 3 hours. That's not going to go down well with somebody with advanced dementia trying to sit at a table for 3 hours. So it's important to understand those things and how we can manage the time that we're going to put towards it. The stakeholders, that's us. We
Mm-hmm.
can make big difference with us. And I think an important thing, and this is where I'm relating it to those family members that maybe haven't been around there. You want to brief them on where the loved one is in their journey and what's likely to be a positive experience. And you might even want to brief them on simple things. I was read somewhere the other day, and it was a little tip for Christmas, and it was saying, you know what? If you want to make name badges for everybody that's going to be there at the table, do it, because then you're not going to embarrass your loved one who's beginning to forget everybody's names. The name badges are there, and obviously brief everybody on why you're doing that. And that gets everybody understanding more about how we're going to navigate this potentially difficult situation. So that's another thing that we can do. Really
So I
prepare.
love that kind those are tips for how like we could change ourselves and not expecting the person living with brain change to suddenly know how to remember if they can't remember names,
Yeah.
creating a solution where we change. I love that.
Yes. Yeah.
So
We've
we've
got.
got we can change time, we can change stakeholders. There's one more you said that we can
Yeah.
shift.
The environment. We have to really think about the environment that we're going to create there. Is it going to be safe? Is it going to be warm? With dementia, often what I see is loud noises, bright lights. That can really challenge somebody and cause anxiety in somebody with dementia. So you really want to think about that. Try and think about decorations that you would have around. Are they potentially harmful to your loved ones? Because we do see confusion with people with dementia, and they may start trying to touch an object that could be harmful for them, maybe even try and eat something that would be harmful for them if it was left lying around. So really think about how your environment's going to be set up, and that's going to help you have a really smooth or a much smoother holiday time. So yeah,
So I love that. One more time, the things we can shift are time, us, stakeholders,
us, us, and the environment.
and the environment. Those
Yeah.
are all things that we can look at and actually change,
Do so. Yes.
instead of maybe focusing on trying to change who the person is. They are who they are,
Yeah.
and that's not going to shift. And or maybe trying to change the skill they have because they're living with dementia. The skill they have is what they have, and so we can always make sure that we support people living with brain change in those three ways. I love that, and
Yeah.
not try and change the things that we can't shift.
Yes, exactly.
Keith, that is a huge tip. Thank you so much. And
You're
I'm
welcome.
sure that that will be really helpful as people think about the holidays and navigating them. And I hope that people can really focus on the things they can change. And if they have questions, they could always reach out to
Yeah,
help
and
with those three
definitely
things.
remember what the person can still bring to the occasion. That's going to be important, and brief everybody. Just love the idea of briefing everybody that's likely to be there, because it is a difficult time.
Yeah, and giving some that extra support to people.
Yeah,
That's really, and remembering, ooh, hey, this might be that this journey is a hard one, and everybody needs support. And there's some people who are there every day, and there's some people who are coming in once a year. But no matter
yeah,
what, they're giving support to the person living with brain change, and that's really the goal, is that we
yeah.
support that person. So thank you so much, Keith. I wanted to bring everybody back on. I know Susan was possibly going to share a little bit about traditions that she was holding on to. Is that sorry, I lost my words there.
I would absolutely love to, but I actually said I just want to spend a minute on, and that is this is a mistake I made, and that is I wish my niece and nephew and some people from out of town came for Christmas with my father when he had moderate Alzheimer's, and I made the mistake of not FaceTiming with them some or first or sending pictures or really when they came in for the holiday because they were so emotional. And so Keith, I'm so glad you said that because that's a takeaway for today for sure. And that is really having a family communication. You're all going through this together, but really letting them know kind of what the process is. And I'm going to start with some questions that were submitted at registration. Thank you so much, Claudia and Chris, too, and Keith and Leandra. But I'm going to start with a question that was submitted and I'm going to answer it. because that's kind of the story I want to share. And the question is, can you advise on guilt leaving my loved one in a senior community for the holidays? And I can speak to that because I'm one of the people, I'm the daughter. I was against moving my dad into a senior community, completely against it, but it was way too difficult with his dementia progression and his Alzheimer's to keep him at home. It was really with caregivers and care providers, it was really having very negative impacts on my mother. I'm actually convinced that that is the cause of her Parkinson's. I feel very strongly about that. But I desperately tried to keep him at home. And he was very social and I think he was bored and he became very agitated. So we made the decision to move him to Kensington Senior Living. And we made that decision in 2015 in September. And Kensington said to me and my family, they said, you should consider moving your father before the holidays. And I said, absolutely not. I'm not moving my dad before the holidays. The guilt, first of all, in the whole process of moving him was hard enough, and I just couldn't give that up. And I felt like I wanted to give him the best last Thanksgiving and Christmas that he's ever had. So what I did, and to speak to Keith's point, is I tried to shove a bunch of stuff into a small, well, and to Chris's point, a bunch of stuff into a small apartment or a bunch of stuff into a small time frame. And it was an absolute disaster. And I also had to do all of our family traditions. And that was also a disaster. Going around the room so confused, so agitated. It took way too long. And we always do a family hike on Christmas after we open gifts and we have brunch and then we go for a nice family walk. And the whole thing was absolutely a disaster. And I learned when I moved my dad to Kensington and had an additional 7 November and Decembers with him at Kensington. Kensington really does treat their residents like their family. It was so enjoyable for my dad to welcome us into Kensington. We could go anytime we wanted during the holidays. He didn't know actually what day was Christmas. It really didn't matter. But we still were a family with eliminating the guilt. And I can't thank them actually enough for that. Birthdays, holidays, Father's Day, Thanksgiving, whatever you celebrate in December. And so I answered that question. But does you guys live this, and you are the team at Kensington? How would you answer that question about can you advise on guilt leaving my love? Go ahead, Leandra, take it from here, and you can get your team.
Oh, I don't know. I feel like you answered that just beautifully. Like, I feel like that's the best answer that you could possibly give in the world. Like, you lived it, and you got to see that you held on tight to those traditions. You held on so tight that you didn't realize that in moving him to the Kensington, you would suddenly be able to provide those 4 F's for him, to provide the environment. And I don't know that there's a better answer. I don't know if anybody, um, I feel like it's not moving someone to a community, except I will add one thing. Moving to to a community is extending your family. It's making your family bigger. It's not something to feel guilty about, to give someone more family and more care and more love.
Yeah. No, I live and breathe it. And going back to what Keith said, I really hope everyone watches this again and actually takes notes if they haven't taken notes. But the puzzle is really visual to me because there are things you can't change. You just can't change. And you listen to all these things on health and the struggles that caregivers go through, and they all say that let go of the things you can't change because that's what causes you to be overwhelmed and stressed. If you can focus on the things that you can actually change and impact in your loved ones, focus on the things you can, not on the things you can't. So Keith, thank you for that. Um, Here is a great one. Um, and I won't answer it. I'll let you guys answer it. What specific techniques can caregivers use in their visits during the holidays? So I go visit my dad. Do you have any techniques for if you're going to go visit your loved one in a Kensington community? Go ahead, Chris.
So yeah, I have a story that I think could relate to this pretty well. We have a resident over here in Redwood City that his routine was kind of getting a little disrupted. The family wanted to bring him out home more to restaurants, and it was kind of disrupting the routine where he didn't want to have dinner here at the Kensington. So one day the family came and they had a whole situation that he didn't want to join. He wanted to leave. So the family was at odds. They didn't know what to do. So they called me over. I came in and, just bringing this back to music, I started singing some songs with him to kind of redirect his thought process onto something else. So we started singing some songs, and it really started to change his mood and really affect how he was feeling. And after we sang some songs, I was able to like sing while walking with him over to a special table we set up. And it really changed the flow of how things were going. And they ended up having a really nice dinner together. And he kind of just needed that extra little something to kind of switch that thought process over. So as you're coming either if you're coming to a facility or if you're at home and you're really like, oh, we need to get here, we want to start dinner, we want to do something, and it's not really working out, you're kind of experiencing some resistance. I definitely urge you to just try singing a song with them, try to get their mind off of it. Get into an activity first, throw away your agenda, and then you can move on to that afterwards. So that's a tip that I
I,
have.
I'm probably going to cry when I share this, but Chris is so spot on. When my dad became agitated or anything, I always sang Somewhere Over the Rainbow. It was my father's just favorite song by a Hawaiian singer who plays on the ukulele, and it's just beautiful, beautiful song. It was his very favorite. He used to blast it in the house all the time. And when he was in his final stages at Kensington, Chris, Joanne Hubbard, who was the executive director, who is a music person. I never realized the power of music until I was at Kensington, by the way. She came in with her guitar and sang Somewhere Over the Rainbow to my father, and my father was nonverbal and didn't have any expression. And he sat there and he got a smile on his face and tears started running down his face. So thank you for sharing the music, and thank you, Leandra, for inviting Chris to be a guest on our webinar. Thank you so much. Does
Of
any
course.
Keith or Claudia, do you have anything to share on that for visits during the holidays? Any tips or tricks or?
I always like to just emphasize being in the moment with your
Oh,
loved one. Yeah, let them lead. Yeah, things may look different from one year to the next, but really being in the moment with them and letting them welcome you into their space. I think
we
that's always something that I like to remind family members.
so could you guys the one thing that I take away from the positive approach to care is the hand over hand, which sounds to me like let them lead. Can you guys demonstrate that and explain that to the audience? Leandra,
Sure.
look, demonstrate it.
We get off.
But you
So,
can all
well, we don't
demonstrate.
have somebody with us today, but we can all use our fake hand. So you're going to use your to do hand under hand to support someone. You're going to lift up your pinky, but this would be obvious the other person's hand. So you're going to reach out your hand, and you'll connect. So this would be your thumbs. Then once you're connected, you'll flip your hand and allow the person living with brain change to be in control on the top. And you can stay connected like this for your whole visit and stay in this nice hand under hand, depending on where they are in the progression. But it is a really good way. But we always want to be under and let the person with brain change lead us.
Is it why tell me why that works? Does that work because people with brain change feel like people are always telling them what to do and they like purpose and being in control, or why does that work so well? Because I've witnessed that at Kensington. It works, it diffuses situations, it makes people happier. It's amazing. Why does it work?
Um, There's so many factors, but I'll give you kind of three main ones. One is that people with brain change live with a lot of vision change. So when I'm in need of support, this is something that gives me support, especially when my peripheral vision is shifting and it's harder for me to navigate the world. The second part is that what happens is when I'm underneath, I have these skill fingers and I can help someone living with brain change do all kinds of things from drinking to eating to walking and guiding. And the last thing is with the hippocampal changes, one of the things that changes is my ability to wayfind, meaning that it's hard for me to go somewhere and come back. So I need some support. And that hand in her hand, it's giving that support without needing to drag me or feel. It's giving me that support with in a relationship. It's a relationship. When I'm in hand in hand, if you get anything out of this, it's connection and relationship. And I'm supporting you with it. And we're doing it together in all the things that we do versus doing to you, which really feels hard when you're living with brain change to have things done to you all the time. I think that feels hard for anybody, actually.
I have to read a few comments that are in the chat because I want the audience to hear them, and especially I want you guys to hear them. From Lori, she says, guilt means you've done something wrong. We can sometimes think we're feeling guilty when we're just feeling sad.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love that redirecting. Yeah, I like that. And then Patricia said, one extra tip from my years of experience is to be an actor. Learn improv, and I think Keith talked about that. Learn improv and be ready to pivot on a moment to keep the energy positive. And Keith shared with that, and we'll get
Oh, I
and
think you froze a little, Susan. But yeah,
oh,
absolutely. Improv, that yes and part of improv. We talk about that all the time. If you say but, always say yes
Yeah.
and. So, but thank you for that. I also have an acting background and theater background, and it has served me well.
I know, but that's so true, right? Because it's all about the moment. Who said it's about the moment? Was that Claudia
Thanks,
said?
Claudia. Yeah.
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 And that's the moment because if you can bring pleasure for that moment or peace, I think that's important. But anyway, Lori said, God bless you all. At this very moment, I'm going to excuse myself from this very informative session to join my husband who has vascular dementia downstairs, and I will sing some songs to him, Chris.
Oh.
That's great.
And then somebody said, great program. I have to go because I have to lead Dementia Cafe, but thank you and happy holidays to everybody. So that's some really nice things. Thank you. Thank you, audience. Let's finish with one comment. And I think we talked about how to redirect family traditions without upsetting the family. We talked
Mhm.
about that. But how do I stop behavior that insists on buying the same item over and over?
Oh, Keith, you want to take that one? You haven't answered the questions. How do you stop?
Oh,
So I think they're saying when someone's expressive, and they're showing it by wanting to purchase and buy things like again and again and again. That's a tough one.
that's really tough. And that the way I think about that is sometimes, I mean, where I'm working, we don't encounter that because our residents no longer have access to finances. But you could think of it in the way when somebody's wanting to eat breakfast 6 or 7 times in a
Okay.
morning because they don't remember that they've already done that. So I'm not gonna correct them. I'm not gonna destroy their dignity by saying, "Hey, you already bought that. You've already got three of that." I'm going to say, "Oh, great! You're interested in getting and a blue pullover as a gift for somebody else. That's a great idea. Let me get things ready, and we'll maybe get ready to go to the store. And hopefully, by point. You're buying yourself some time, you're working around it. And that's often what we're doing in memory care work. We're redirecting away without um, dismissing what they've said. You're acknowledging what they've said, but you're trying to get them to then think about something else. And that's maybe where Chris's singing would come in again or something like that. You're just going to have to work through because they will, they'll ask for a meal 7 times in a morning, even if they've had it. They'll ask to
Yeah.
go back to the restroom, even if they've just been to the restroom. And you don't want to dismiss what they're saying. You're living in their reality. And then you're trying to find out what is the unmet need that they've maybe got.
Yeah, because a lot of times when you're looking at how the brain initiates sequence through, finishes and moves on, you will see
Mhm.
that a lot of times the brain initiates something and it continues to initiate through and it has trouble sequencing through finalizing a task and moving on. So there's not always something, it's kind of one of those six pieces of the puzzle where that the initiation of that isn't going to change the solution, and how you interact with that initiation is the only thing that can shift there. And coming up with, lots of different ways to things to do when that part of the brain initiates. I need to buy something to keep that. There's not much you can do to change that initiation, but there are things we can do to and how we respond to it is essentially, and each person living with brain change is different, but we tend to look for solutions that help when the brain is
Yeah.
initiate. We have one resident that her brain, she every 2 minutes, I'm hungry, I need to eat something. I need a snack. I need a snack. And so we bought a whole lot of carrots because you can eat a lot of carrots and they're crunchy and satisfying and they really worked. So try and get curious, be a detective, and see what you can do to answer that, and but not try and change the fact that the brain's going to create that initiation over and over.
Yeah.
Chris or Claudia, do you have anything to add? Because we're just about on the golden hour here.
For that last question?
Yes.
You can add anything you want because we're going to be signing off here in a minute. I just wanted to give you a chance to say anything that you might be thinking about.
I think just reinforcing that like validation, like you don't want to tell them it's wrong or shame anybody in any way, and then finding creative ways like Leandra with the carrots, finding some substitution that would be a little bit healthier or more appropriate. hmm Being creative and,
Claudia.
trying a whole bunch of things, problem solving.
Yeah, maybe you have a credit card that's not a real credit card and you
Yep.
buy, you buy it. Uh, yeah. Or you also like if they're thinking about buying something, if you can, this may really work. If you could put that object that they're thinking about buying in their vision, it can also help if they're wanting to buy something that they've already bought rather than saying, you already bought that. Like it
Yeah.
may help
Mhm.
to have that ooh, something like this and like, oh, having them sort of
Discovery.
realize I have that item.
Claudia, do you have anything that you'd like to add?
No, I think the team nailed it. Just having that backup plan and not giving up, having the supplies readily available. I would say, even if it means buying a second pair of, just so that when they are in that moment, were you
Yep.
looking for this? Here, I got it. Here it is. And it'll provide a visual for them as well and reassurance that, oh, I do have this already.
Yeah, good tip, Claudia, because what I can see is a lot easier to process than what I hear.
hmm
And I know what I'm getting Chris for Christmas. Karaoke machine.
Bring it on.
Anyway, thank you to the audience on the East Coast. Good evening. On the West Coast, good afternoon. And thank you so much to our team members and our leader, Leandra, Keith, Claudia, and Chris. Really appreciate it. And share the video with your friends and family. It's very helpful. We gave probably 20 great tips today. So those will really help you during the holiday season. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye,
Take care.
everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.